All right, welcome to another edition of Baseball for Maniacs. This episode is mainly just going to be our top five favorite players that aren't on our current team. But first, we're going to get into some WBC news because, dude, everyone committed today. It was like National Signing Day, and I could not be more pumped. Tarek Skubal, Logan Webb, David Bednar just all signed today or just committed. And I don't know how you feel. I know how you feel. Let's go, baby, USA. I'm stoked.
Let's go USA all the way. You mentioned the guys that just committed today, but let's go over the rest of that pitching staff. Paul Skeens, Tarek Skubal, Logan Webb, Joe Ryan, Nolan McLean, I think his name is, from the Mets.
Yeah.
Mason Miller.
Oh, he just committed today, too. I forgot to mention that. Yeah.
You just said Bednar. And Clay Holmes is sneaking in there, too, in the rotation, in the bullpen.
Dude, I hate the Mets, but Clay Holmes had a solid year as a starter. He was a steal for what they got for him.
He really is. And we didn't even talk about this projected lineup yet. We don't even have a first baseman, like a specific first baseman on this team yet, but this team is stacked.
So we got Gunnar and Witt are both confirmed, right?
Yes, they are.
So I would assume Witt plays short, Gunnar plays second.
I know because Bryce Terang committed as well. So Bryce Terang is going to play second, and Gunnar is probably going to play third.
Did any other infielders commit?
I didn't see any on the list just yet, but as of now, we have probably the best catching platoon in all of the world in Cal Raleigh and Will Smith.
Yeah.
We have elite middle infield play, whether you want to put Gunnar at short, Witt at short, and Bryce Terang at second base. Bryce Terang had such a quiet, good year in Milwaukee.
His offensive stats are crazy.
He was so good. And we didn't even talk about the outfield yet. Corbin Carroll, PCA, and Aaron Judge.
Dude, that outfield's going to be defensively locked down. But I was with the dude because what has been the United States problem in the WBC? Now, granted, we won it in 17, or I think that's the year, and then we got to the final in 23. It's just pitching because obviously we know the WBC happens in March.
Mm-hmm.
So teams do not want to send their starting pitchers, rightfully so, right before the season starts. But who was starting games in 23? Freaking
Wayno.
Miles Michaelis. Wayno was throwing 83-mile-per-hour fast last year. Who else? Dude, I can't remember who else was pitching for us.
I'm trying to think about it now, but there really wasn't that many guys that were I guess that you would consider lockdown names coming out of the pen or even starting.
Dude, and it's like that 5 or even that 4 that we mentioned with Skubal, Skeens, Webb, Joe Ryan. Now, granted, they're probably just going to go 3-4 innings. I don't give a damn. That's 3-4 scoreless because you got to look at the competition. Obviously, if they face a DR because they're not in their pool, that's going to be a freaking problem. We'll get into that through the whole WBC. But it's USA, dude. They're the clear favorites because the Dominican has a great lineup, but they don't have any pitching.
No, they don't.
So...
And then we didn't even get over the guys that are just like maybes right now, because some of the guys who were on the team previously, like Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Pete Alonso was on that team.
I need Bryce as the first baseman for USA hitting one to the freaking moon. Trey Turner, you had your moment in 23. Let's just get ready for the season. But, dude, I don't know. I'm sure you share the same sentiment. But, dude, I freaking love the WBC. Obviously, it doesn't come compared to my Phillies fandom, but it's a close second, dude. When you are rooting for your country against the best of the best, there's nothing like it.
I'd like to think I'm a pretty patriotic guy when it comes to my country. However, when it comes to Olympic play or WBC play, I lock in on a different level because I just want us to be the best in the world. And this whole competition is for the best baseball players in the world. And quite frankly, I think the USA has it. And it's like Garrett Crochet didn't even commit. I would love to see him commit. I mean, I'd probably be bittersweet because I want him ready for the season. And we saw what happened to Edwin when he was pitching in the WBC.
And I just love because obviously the baseball community, it's a strong one, of course, but it's a very toxic one. love that when we all come together, because most of like the baseball fans, because we're in America, are USA fans, right? But just like Mets fans, Phillies fans come together, Braves fans, Yankees fans, Red Sox fans, you're gonna be rooting for Judge for the only time in your career. Um, I'm gonna be rooting for Nolan McLean the only time because he's a Met and I hate Mets. But once you put that USA on your chest, dude, you're one of the guys.
Have you ever seen like the meme picture of the two like blood and Crip gang members tying their bandanas together?
That Mets and Phillies fans, dude,
That's the Yankees and Sox fans.
and kind of me and Cubs fans right now. So I posted a video. It was like Wrigley Field. I think it was Game 3, and I compared the crowds in the eighth inning of that game to Game 1, first inning of the wild card round. And people were eating me alive in the comments, which is great. I love when people they're saying rage bait this, rage bait that. I'll tell you what, I am a D1 rage baiter. I doing that. But for that specific post, I was not. If you go back and look at that clip, and a lot of people put in the comments, I think it was just one or two, they were like, well, they muted the set. Well, not muted it, they lowered the volume, which broadcasters do, right? I don't care. If you watch it, you got like 3 or 4 people waving their rally towels, and it's a good crowd. But you and me were at Red October for that clip. We were in the stands. We didn't sit the entire game for nothing. So it's not that I'm really dissing on Cubs fans. It kind of seemed like that. It's just to show you what Philly is like. But yeah, no, I love Cubs fans. I love Wrigley Field. I know they go for their team 100%, but nowhere near Red October. And I'm going to stick by that. If that's rage baiting, call me a rage baiter.
Yeah, honestly, I have nothing but love for the Chicago Cubs and the Chicago Cubs fan base. My grandfather, God rest his soul, he had a soft spot for the Cubbies, and it was nice to see them win the World Series
Yeah,
when I knew he was always like he was just a baseball fan. I swear to God, this guy was a Rockies fan for a while, but he just liked baseball.
dude, it's so funny because, like, obviously I've posted a lot of TikTok clips over the years, and I'll get weird beefs with, like, a certain fan base, like, every year due to one post will blow up. You know who I had beef with this year for, like, 3 months?
Who's that?
Toronto. I think it was a June series, and we like put belt to ass in the first game. It's 10-0 up in Toronto, and I posted, and it was like, didn't know the Blue Jays were that bad, and I kid you not, every single day on one of my posts when the Blue Jays were doing well, they either came back to that specific post, which I respect because it's like when I look like an idiot, please call me out on it, and it was just so funny. Like when we lost to the Dodgers, the Blue Jays fans were commenting, and I love that kind of stuff. But it's so funny that it's like I never in my life thought I'd have beef with the Blue Jays, and I was rooting for them against the Dodgers. But man, they killed me. And now it's Cubs fans. Maybe next week it'll be the nah. What's an obscure team that I could have beef with that I really shouldn't?
Probably the
Maybe
Cardinals.
yeah, could be the Cardinals. Maybe not the Rockies because like there's nothing going on there. Maybe
I could see you beefing with like a Rangers fan out of nowhere.
and just like, dude, well, when the Blue Jays fan commented on the TikTok when I think I posted a bullpen, I was like, best bullpen in baseball, which I still think is the case. He said not even top 10. And in that
That's
case,
crazy.
that was an obscure statement, but it's so funny when he said that. And my exact response was just Miguel Rojas. And I at that moment, but when you comments like that, dude, I'll go low. I'll make a whole edit about it, but I love beefing, but it's all in good fun.
Absolutely. Now, before we get into our favorite players, oh, and I got a little game for you.
Ooh, okay.
We talked about the players that are going to be in the WBC.
Hmm.
Let me go over the staff with you. Because
Ooh, oh,
our managers and our pitching coaches and hitting coaches, I didn't get the first base or third base coach, just they're important, but they're
yeah,
not. These names that we have here, these names. Now, we already know it's the same manager as the 23. We got Mark DeRosa back there, manning the ship.
solid.
Who do you think is the assistants behind him?
All right. So obviously pitching coach, bullpen guy, hitting coach. Give me the pitching coach.
So the pitching coach is Yankee legend Andy Pettitte,
Okay, solid, solid. I would
and
go on a limb and say bullpen coach David Ross.
probably the best manager in baseball right now. And he is the bullpen coach.
Okay, okay.
This hitting coach, though, I like a lot because it could have implications on one or two other guys joining the team.
Give me a hint.
His two of his sons just went number one.
Oh, Matt Holliday.
Matt Holliday is the hitting coach.
Rockies legend. Never touched the plate in the winner take all against the Padres.
Nope, never did.
Replay wasn't a thing then, but that's awesome.
And now there are some assistant managers. Those usually don't mean much, but these guys mean a lot. They mean a lot to me because they were meant a lot to me in my youth.
Okay.
Brian McCann and Michael Young.
I like Young. I don't like McCann just because he was a Brave.
That's fair. But again, I
Good
think Brian
for that.
McCann, if you think Brian McCann, I remember Brian McCann for one specific moment. And it's
Is it
not from like a Phillies fan. It is the Carlos Gomez moment.
Dude, that's one of my favorite moments of all time. I don't know if Carlos was like on something, but it was like a random game. I think it's September. I don't even know if both teams were in the playoffs. He hits a nuke and then just goes feral around the bases, and then McCann meets him at the plate.
Do you know how insane of a person you have to be to get Freddie Freeman yelling at you rounding first base?
Dude, you ever see those TikTok edits of Carlos Gomez just going bonkers and so much stuff? I love Carlos Gomez.
As do I. And if we were going to talk about former favorite players, we could do something like that later on. But
Yeah.
getting into what our main topic of conversation is today, Owen, obviously you're a big time Phillies fan. Obviously, I'm a big time Red Sox fan. But that doesn't mean that we don't watch that we just don't like not watch other teams and not watch baseball. There are tons of athletes, tons of ball players that make the game fun.
Mhm.
And I think it would be very fair for some of the people who watch us that aren't Phillies fans and who aren't Red Sox fans that they know that we're just not homers, honestly.
We're homers, but we respect what these players bring to the game because at the end, growing the game of baseball is the biggest thing.
Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to go through our top five that are not on our current team. I'll start with number five. This might shock a lot of you guys because obviously I'm a big Phillies fans. I got Francisco Lindor. So when I think it also helps that he didn't come up as a Met. He's not like Brandon Nimmo. He's not like Pete Alonso. He's not one of those guys. Because if you come up in the Mets organization, I have nothing but hate and distill for you. But Lindor, because when I was growing up, well, not really growing, I was like in my teen years. That's when Lindor was in Cleveland, the Grand Slam in 2017. So
Mm-hmm.
fell in love with the way he plays because he played the game with a passion and a joy that also brought a lot of young kids into the game, and I respect that heavily. And dude, a shortstop that just doesn't make errors, like quite literally does it. He had a bad defensive year. Fun stat: I think he had more errors than Trey Turner. Trey Turner still should not be a shortstop. Whatever. Well, that's another discussion for another day. But for the most part, Lindor is one of the best defensive shortstops. And say what you want about 2024, even though he hit that grand slam off Estevez, just the way he carries himself, it was like a different kind of edge because obviously we love the superstars. I know bat slam, go insane, the emotion. That's my favorite part. But the way he kind of went about his business and just like not really any emotion, just business like, it was a really nice thing to see. So I really like Francisco Lindor. I hope he never has another good year just because he's a New York Met. Um, but I like Lindor. I don't think he's a good leader, but also I don't think certain players are made to be big leaders. We see all these people that sign these big lucrative contracts. They are who they are. So even though you give them that money, similar to Juan Soto, you can't expect them to change.
No.
Kind of like Harper too. It's kind of just lead by example. So just because that guy makes that certain amount of money does not mean he's going to be the rah rah guy. But I got Lindor number five. Who's your fifth?
So yeah, firstly on Lindor, I kind of feel the same way. I think of like when we were both teenagers, when I was just getting out of high school and you were probably like a junior in high school when I was graduating. and Frankie was still in Cleveland. He was like the angel on your shoulder for shortstops, and then right next to here, the devil was Javi Baez. There was like 1-2 because Lindor handled business, Baez was flashy.
Yeah.
So both of those guys, like I agree with Lindor. I like Lindor. My number
Yep.
5 guy, it's not necessarily surprising, but it's kind of going to go into the style of pitching that I like.
Okay.
And I got Logan Webb.
Okay.
Now, Logan Webb to me is a criminally underrated arm in baseball. I don't think he gets talked about nearly enough. He's been
Mhm.
the ace of that Giants rotation for however many years now. I'm not sure actually. Probably like 4 or 5 years now. He's been the number one guy there.
At
I
least three.
thought that I thought we were gonna get him when we traded Rafi. Honestly, I thought that I would have loved to see. That's a one of one swap if you ask me.
Yeah, I think it's like when you trade big contracts, you got to realize once you sign that, and if you think about trading him, just front office is just not going to take that kind of money and really give you any value. Um, but a one for one, I really would have liked. 'Cause Webb is a stud, and he's on a team friendly deal. He signed like a 5 year, $90 million extension.
And that's probably why he wasn't traded in the first place, just because he has that team friendly contract. But either way, the way that he's a 200 inning a year guy, and the fact that he hasn't finished above third in Cy Young voting in like a couple of seasons now is kind of egregious. Now,
Yeah,
granted, he's in the same division as Yamamoto, not the division as Yamamoto, the same division as Otani and Snell and Glasnow. They're all on the same damn team. But he's also in the he's in the same league as Paul Skeens.
yeah,
So you're really not going to get many looks when you have the best young arm in baseball and you're in the same division as literally the best pitching staff in all of baseball. So Logan Webb is one of those guys to me that is always going to produce. He's always going to be like a sub 3 ERA guy. He's always going to get you 190 to 210 innings. Not the flashiest when it comes to Ks, but in the words of Bull Durham, strikeouts are fascist. Put the ball on the ground.
yep,
So,
dude.
yeah,
That's why he goes so far in games because he makes the hitters contact. Like they make them put the ball in play, get easy outs, and then you look up and it's the eighth inning, and he's at 94 pitches, so you can stretch him either to the eighth or complete game.
exactly. Now, that's my number 5 guy. Let's see who your number 4 is.
So, also maybe another shock, but I promise you, this is the last player that's a rival of the Phillies. I
Oh,
got Ron.
God.
So, he obviously came up in 2018, and this was before the Phillies made the playoffs. So, like when I was watching playoff games, like I couldn't watch the Phillies because they didn't make it. And just that grand slam he hit off Bueller in Game 3 of the 2018 NLDS, just like seeing Atlanta, like that crowd, basically not rooting for them, but just like seeing a baseball crowd and the energy he brought, it's ridiculous. And then flash forward to that 2023 season, that was one of the best individual seasons I've ever seen. It's kind of funny that we shut him down in the playoffs, whatever, but he's just another case to where he brings a lot of energy to the game. Youth love him because he just exuberates what a baseball player is and the emotion of how great the game can be. He's just been with the injury bug with the two ACLs, dude. You never root for injuries for anybody. I don't care if they're a Met. I don't care if they're a Yankee for you. We don't root for injuries,
Mm.
but I just love the way he plays, the way he was running. He's never going to be able to run again like that just because of the knee injury. But in 2023, the fact that we got to see that peak year, I mean, it's just great for the game of baseball. Now, again, hope he doesn't have that again. But I love Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yeah, honestly, he's just the right level of electricity. And I love watching his highlights when he's playing winter ball in like Venezuela or if he's down somewhere just playing winter ball because I don't know if any of you outside of like me and Owen watch winter league ball when it comes to Venezuela or even keep up with the KBO. Those bat flips are so disrespectful.
The energy is like every game is like a playoff game because they love baseball. And I've always said I want to get down there for a game. I think it's also kind of insane the Braves let him do it based on the injuries. If I was like in the organization and I had any say, I wouldn't. But I'm happy they do let him just for the growth of the game. Because yeah, he's a stud, man, and like that, him sending one to the moon in Winter League ball. Because I know they care about Winter League more than the professional side, which I don't fault them for. That's their home country. That's the people probably like they grew up with, like coming to the games. So if you ever have a chance to watch a Winter League game, please do, or even just highlights.
Absolutely. Please check it out. Now, my number 4 guy. You'll appreciate this one.
Okay.
I got Bryce Harper. Now, I've been a fan of Bryce Harper since he was a national, honestly. I remember when Bryce Harper was first coming out of community college and he was
At
the
least,
number 1 pick.
yeah, the
Like
highlight tape of him like trot.
mhm. And not I don't think a lot of people really remember Bryce Harper came up as a catcher.
Hmm.
He was supposed to be the catcher back there, but they moved him to the outfield, and that was the best thing that could have possibly ever happened to Bryce Harper. Now, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie. When Bryce first started getting like a little bit of notoriety when he was in Washington, when he first started to get real good, kind of thought he was a douchebag. But then I remember they were playing in Los Angeles, and he was running after a fly ball and he just completely sold out and ran face first into the scoreboard out there in right field for Dodger Stadium. And I'm like, did he just do that in a regular season game? And I don't know what it
yeah,
is, but there are guys who are like willing to sell it out for the entire team, willing to make that play even if they know they're going to get seriously hurt at the end of it, because we've seen it happen a couple of times. Like we saw Ken Griffey do it, and he broke his wrist, and he was never the same after that. Even if you wanted to talk about Schwarber when he broke his leg in the outfield and he was playing in Chicago, like that was brutal. Both of those guys were selling out for that one, and
yeah,
Bryce,
and yeah,
like, he's the
no, but
epitome of selling out.
yeah, we appreciate that as fans, but I think it's also funny. Like he was a psychopath in 2012 and 13, and former Phil Jason Worth, he was on a podcast, and he's like, I had to like talk to Bryce and be like, "Yo, you need to calm the hell down. You're gonna like ruin your career." So we appreciate that, but there's also pockets to do it. Like running into the wall, it's a negligent move because you have to be aware of your surroundings. Because that ball, there was no chance he was catching that. So
No,
Worth bringing him aside, I really that former Phil veteran, and then they swapped. Bryce came to Philly. Jason Worth also shout out one of the pioneers of that Washington Nationals run. He wasn't on the team when they won it in 2019, but he had a lot to do with the development of Harper, Rendon. Ian Desmond was. Oh, Ian Desmond didn't play on the World Series team, but Victor
Danny
Robles, like
Espinosa.
he had a lot. I don't think he did because Kendrick was. Well, it was a mix. I think it was Kendrick. Was he at second? I know he was on the team.
I think
Hmm.
Howie Kendrick played first a couple times.
No, Zimmerman was at first
Then who was the
because remember
third
he moved
baseman?
to
Oh yeah,
third.
Rendon.
Oh,
Rendon, yeah.
so I think Howie played second. Nationals fans, if we're complete idiots, please let us know.
Yeah, please do.
But yeah, just going back to Bryce is
Yeah,
obviously my favorite player. I'm not going to get into it because I think you guys know that, but he was even my favorite player in Washington. Like when he signed with Philly was one of the greatest days of my life. But I love that that's your number four.
yeah, and like
Similar for my number three. Yeah,
I was just gonna
gotcha.
say
So
outside of it, I'm so sorry. I keep cutting you off, but I was just gonna say outside of his passion, I love it when he argues with the
hmm,
umpires because he's usually right, and I love it when he just gets into
yeah.
the face of the umpires and he's just like, you mother effer, you suck, this, that." He gets tossed all the time because of it, but it's so funny.
Dude, he was a D1 crash out in Washington, and he'll still crash out in Philly. It's funny because it's more like kept under control, but like you said, he's usually right. Like he doesn't just argue to argue anymore. Like when he got thrown out by Aaron Hernandez, wow, Angel Hernandez, like he was completely right. He didn't go at all. But we appreciate that. But for my number three, you're gonna appreciate this because it's a Red Sox. It's Jaron Durant. So obviously outside of baseball, the way he took on mental health and how strong he was to be a pioneer for that and be open about that, I genuinely appreciate that because mental health throughout the years has been obviously a touchy subject, but it's very important to talk about it. And when you see a professional athlete do that, it just gives kids around the world and even adults, well, if he can do that and he's struggling, then I'm not alone. So that's what I love him just off the baseball side. And then as a baseball player, dude, the energy he plays with. He has that fu attitude when like he's playing against you, and that's what you want out of your ball players. He's he's a really good defender. He struggled a little bit this year, but when he's on, dude, last year he had an 8.7 baseball reference WAR. He had an 834 OPS. And people say he had a down year this year, which is true compared to his 2024. He still posted a 4.7 baseball reference WAR. That's not for nothing, and had a 774 OPS. I would love him in Philly. I think because he played center in 2024, right? For you guys.
It it was mainly him and Sadon were kind of splitting reps out there, but Sadon was also getting reps in the middle infield because we didn't have the second baseman really.
Yeah, I think if the Red Sox either give him a specific position, whether it's left or center. It won't be center with Rafaela, or if he gets traded and he could just play like that position for the entire year. I think he's a great defender. I would love him in Philly. Obviously, that's not going to happen with the signing of Garcia, but I love Duran both on and off the field. And of course, we know that infamous clip. We're not going to talk about it. Just with a tennis racket, just freaking hilarious, dude. Like baseball players are humans. Stuff's gonna come out. Maybe you shouldn't have said it, but I thought that was freaking hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's 2025. Certain things just can't be said anymore, and he apologized. He did the right thing. He did what he needed to do.
Yeah.
But to go back on what you were saying about the mental health, I don't know if you watched the Red Sox documentary that came out on Netflix, but he
Mm-mm.
very, very much opened up about what he was going through. Because, yeah, you talk about how good of a defender he was. That didn't exist when he first came up. There was almost a mob trying to get Jaron Duran out of the outfield because there's one play in particular that's going to haunt him for the rest of his career. He's coming in on a fly ball, coming in on a fly ball. Can't see it, can't see it. Where is it? Where is it? Lands 20 feet behind him. And the left fielder's got to come all the way from the monster to come get it and throw it in. Gives up a triple, I think. I don't know if it was an inside the Parker, but gives up extra base hits. And
Mhm.
Boston fans, they're just as brutal, if not ruder, than Philadelphia Phillies fans because we get bad raps. Our fan bases get bad raps for being
Yeah.
aggressive, for being rude, for being just overall mean. Now, there was a
Yeah.
point in the documentary with Jaron Duran. It got really, really personal, and Jaron Duran opened up about how I mean, he's a gun owner, and he opened up about how one night he had the gun ready, and it was right there, and he pulled, and it misfired. It misfired. He
Yeah.
was gonna do it, but it completely misfired. And then, like a couple
Thank
days
God.
later, maybe a week or two later, yeah, thank God, seriously. And he released that like player tribune thing where it was like, guys, I'm really, really trying. I'm trying my best. Like, I know my best sometimes isn't good enough, but I'm gonna keep trying for you guys, and I will get better. And then Boston kind of rallied around him. That's when that "fu" attitude really came out, and that's when Jaron started to become Jaron. And I'm so immensely proud of him, with everything that he's overcome and everything that he will continue to overcome. He keeps getting thrown around in trade rumors, and I'm going to be really, really sad if he goes. But wherever he goes, he's going to be a leader. He's going to be a guy that kids look up to, and he's going to be somebody that I think is going to be not a Hall of Famer per se, but he's somebody that's going to be remembered for his style of play, the passion in which he played, and the way he carried himself on and off the field. And I love Jaron Duran for that. And now
And another
let's
point, just before you go off to your next,
yes.
just before you go there. So I'm gonna also say this. So obviously, you and me, we rant, we go at our players. We probably cursed at our players, and rightfully so. You can criticize players. Like, we're not saying that's a thing you should do, but I think what we should do as a fan base, there's certain times when you got to realize, hey man, there's something going on in the noggin. Trey Turner in 2023. The reason we rallied around him is because, one, he answered all the questions similar to Durant, saying he's taking accountability. He said, I'm the reason we lost. But then, like, that standing ovation, it gives me chills to this day because Philly Captain did it, Jack Fritz did it. I posted on TikTok, not saying I'm a pioneer, definitely not. But it was just like the fact that a fan base that as brutal as Philadelphia could realize that something's going on mentally and just giving him that support. His run after that standing ovation into the playoffs was the best baseball Trey Turner has ever played. So if you ever, like, I know it's hard to like understand what's going on, but sometimes, like, if you can see like one of your guys struggling, whether it's a baseball player you're rooting for or one of your buddies, just like try to like level them out and just like bring them back down to earth to where this is a game. Mental health is very important. But yeah, 100%.
Yeah, now before I go into my third guy, just one more thing about the mental health. Guys, it's okay to talk about it. I've struggled with my mental health in the past, and it's just something that I needed to talk about, and I did. So, and it definitely helped me. So, whether you got to talk to your parents, whether you believe in therapy, whether you want to go to talk to your buddies, whether you even want to talk to us, just talk about it, please. And with that said, my number
100%.
three guy. My number three guy. Another electric factory. Somebody who I think will win the American League MVP within the next 3 seasons. And that's the shortstop for the Kansas City
Okay.
Royals, Bobby Witt Jr. Now, I think that Bobby Witt Jr. is the best shortstop in baseball. I don't think there are many other players who can do the things that he does and make it look as good as he does. He's on the Royals. Who the hell watches the Royals? Nobody. And I think he makes the Royals exciting. I haven't been excited for the Royals since Moustakas and Hosmer were the corner infielders. And I think Bobby Witt brings a lot of hope to a Royals team that isn't necessarily struggling anymore. They still have Salvi. They got
Mhm.
Freddie Fermin right behind him, who really came out to be a really good backup catcher. Or he's even the starting catcher now because Salvi's old. And they got MJ
Yeah.
Melendez, who was coming up as the catcher, but he's in the outfield now. I like what he can bring with his bat. I think he's one good. I think he's right there. I think he could break out and be a really good bat. I don't even know. I hope that they kept him in Kansas City because I think he's got a lot of potential. Now I'm kind of ignorant
Yeah.
to a lot of the organizations outside of the Red Sox. I know they have Jack Cag, who is a stud, and I know they still have the Pasquatch in Vinny Pasquantino, and he's
Hey,
he's an electric factory. I'm pretty sure they still have Michael Garcia, the third baseman,
they just
and
extended him like 5 years.
yeah, and that's a great move by them. He's so good.
Yeah.
And when you're led by a guy like Bobby Witt Jr., the guy who's going to lead the league in triples for the next 5 seasons, a shortstop who can hit 40 home runs. Now, there's a couple more guys who can do that this day and age. Gunnar Henderson, maybe Ethan Holiday can get up there. Jackson Holiday's projected to be that. Um, Maybe even Frankie if he's having a good year, but nobody's gonna do it year after year the way that Bobby Witt does. I'll turn on a Royals game just to watch Bobby Witt take a couple at bats. I remember when he was coming up, and everybody was like, "Oh, he's the next best thing. He's the next best thing," and I was like, "Well, Tatis is still here. Like, let's cool the brakes a little bit." But then when Tatis got moved to the outfield, I was like, "All right, well, there's no denying it. They're not moving Witt anytime soon." It's like, for example,
No.
if Frankie were to sign with the Royals, it would be like when A-Rod signed with the Yankees. You know what I mean? And or when he got traded to the Yankees. And it would be, you're not playing shortstop, I'm playing shortstop. And then he would go play somewhere else. Because Jeter was not giving up shortstop, and
Yeah.
neither is Bobby Witt Jr. I think that any team that Bobby Witt could be on, he'd be the best player, except the Dodgers, because of Shohei. I think that he would I think that he'd be the best shortstop in any league, whether you want to put him in any era, honestly. Either you want to put him in the 2020s, the 2010s. I'll even put him in the 2000s. he would be the best shortstop if he was playing in that era. And I'm talking with guys like Jose Reyes and Troy Tulowitzki, guys that we loved watching growing up. He's better than both of them.
No doubt. Well, the thing about Witt is he's never going to have like a WAR season under 5, because if he
Never.
struggles with the bat, which we know he's not going to, plays great defense and he's fast as hell. So he's going to get those infield singles. He's going to do certain things. He plays a premium position. I'm very happy that the Royals locked him up to where if he had an agent like Scott Boras, he was never signing that extension because he would push a Juan Soto level contract, no doubt. Because Soto, it's so funny that the Mets were in on him at the time it was, because he wasn't getting that contract at all unless the
Never.
Mets were in on him to where they had it like Steve Cohen. But if you let Witt hit the open market, he's going to surpass Soto, which he's not. I'm happy he's staying in Kansas City to where kids in Kansas City can now buy his jersey. He can be the face of the franchise. He can lead them without the fear of, oh, he's going away in 3 years. Like, should I buy a jersey? So I love Bobby Wood as well.
Yeah, he
But
is.
into my
He's
number
great.
two, yeah. I got Corbin Carroll, which is funny because he's an Arizona
Ooh.
Diamondback, and I hate that for ruining genuinely my fandom. Obviously joking, but the way he plays the game, he he's fast as hell, like unbelievable. Outfield, he has a noodle of an arm, but he plays great. He's been in center, he's been in right, he's been in left. He's going to track down balls. And I just like the fact that he's like leading off. He has sneaky pop, which is not sneaky anymore. He can launch one. I was concerned when he got that shoulder injury because shoulder injuries can ruin careers in baseball. But he bounced back that this year with an 832 OPS and going back on WAR, he had a 5.8 WAR. And the contract they got him on, like an 8-year 111 deal, is crazy work. And I think it's a sign for like small market franchises. When you have a player like that, make the risk of extending them as early as possible, because they're only going to get more expensive, more expensive, more expensive, to where there's a time, I don't care who his agent is, he's not signing that extension. Luckily, Arizona locked him up, and he's going to be the face of their franchise for 5, 6 more years, because Arizona, you got Perdomo, but he had a really good year this year, but no one expected that. So the way just like he can embrace the city, embrace a team, grow with them, and then just watching them play, man. A lot of the things like our favorite players is just if you get your eyes on them and just like you're in awe of what they can do on the baseball field. And that's Corbin Carroll for me. So that's my number two.
I 100% agree, and I actually have to take some time to apologize to Corbin Carroll, just due to the fact that I thought he was going to be a flash in the pan. I really didn't think he was gonna. I thought he was gonna
Mm-hmm.
be one of those hype job projects that was just gonna fizzle out after a while. But I'm very happy that I was wrong, because now I'm excited about Corbin Carroll being on the roster for the WBC, and I'm excited to see what his left-handed back could do, because he's probably I would have Corbin Carroll leading off. I think it should go, like, if I'm gonna have it 1 through 4, I would have it Carroll, Witt. I'd probably have either Gunner or Raleigh hitting third, and then I'd put Judge in the cleanup.
Okay. You know what we could do? We
And
could do like an episode like once everyone's committed, we can kind of like do our lineups and like rotation. I think that'd be pretty fun.
that would be a good one. But we'll talk about that in a little bit, and we'll move on to my number two. Now, I talked about him a little bit in the last episode just as my example guy, but I'm going to talk about him a little bit more now because I have more free reign to do so. And that's Julio Rodriguez of the Seattle Mariners. There's just something about J Rod that makes me excited. Second half demon. After the All Star break, he is easily the top 5 player in baseball. If he can just put it together in March, April, and May, he's going to be the best player in baseball. I don't understand what his mental block is with the early part of the year. I don't get it. Maybe being in the WBC for the DR will help him out a little bit. Maybe playing winter ball could get his swing right where it needs to be. I think this is a guy that will win the American League MVP. the top three for the American League MVP for the next couple years is going to be Judge, Witt, J-Rod. It's not going to be very many
Yeah.
other guys in between there. Maybe Jose Ramirez, but he's just king consistency. J-Rod is literally the Mariners. If you got rid of Cal Raleigh, they'd still be fine because they have Julio Rodriguez. If they got rid of anybody in that lineup, they'd be fine because they have Julio Rodriguez. They could lose three of their five starting pitchers and they'd be fine because J Rod would be able to pick up where they left, where he'd be able to pick up offensively where they would leave a lot in the pitching category. I think J Rod is getting to a point to where he's becoming underrated because he was so highly touted coming up as a prospect. It's kind of like when Bryce became so overhated that he became underrated. So it was like the same things going on with J Rod because, oh, he's going to win the MVP as soon as he comes up. Oh, he's going to be the best center fielder in baseball as soon as he comes up. Those are ridiculous standards to reach for. That is unbelievable amount of pressure to put on a prospect who hasn't even had an at bat in the major leagues. Giraffe Neck Mark Luino over there on YouTube was a huge J Rod guy when he was coming up. And he's probably the reason why I fell in love with J Rod as much as I did because I started watching his minor league stuff. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, this guy is special. He's one of the guys that you love in your outfield and you hate to see him in the other team's lineup. And yeah, I have the biggest soft spot in the world for Julio Rodriguez, and quite frankly, I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
No, and I totally agree. The thing about Julio is even when he has those down months in the beginning of the year, if you look at the end of the year, his counting numbers are there. Also because he plays gold glove center field defense. And that is so valuable to where even if I don't think it's ever going to happen, if he has like a 690, 700 OPS season, he's still a very valuable player to your team because he's going to accumulate the WAR the way he plays defensively. And like you mentioned, dude, if he puts it together for a full season, he could be a 10-win player and he could lead Seattle to the best record in the league. They could get back to the World Series. They could win it. And he had a really good ALCS. Now, granted, he struck out against Hoffman to end it. I think that's just like too big of a moment in the sense of he's going to learn from that and he's going to lock in. And I think he's the one that, if you look at that clip where they're interviewing Brian Wu, where he's just screaming out of like frustration, that is
Mm-hmm.
what we want out of the players we support. We want them to care as much as we do. And most of the time they do. We just don't see that in that like snippet of that clip. You saw that out of Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. And then for my number one, I got Shohei Ohtani. So I I think he gets the credit he does just because MLB puts him out there. And I see all the stuff about the Glaze, and dude, I don't think they post him enough. What he does for baseball, he is the modern day Babe Ruth, and he's better than Babe Ruth. He is the best player that he is. Did I lose Ryan? Oh man. All right. So hopefully Ryan comes back in, but I'm just going to continue on the Shohei rant. He hits, he pitches. That is genuinely insane. Game 4 he did against the Brewers where he pitched 6 scoreless innings, 3 homers. That's just genuinely insane. So that's my number one guy. Anytime I get a chance to watch Shohei, I'm gonna do it every single time of the day. But that's my 5. I don't think Ryan's reconnected. Oh, we got Ryan back.
My
Um,
apologies, some technical difficulties.
no worries. But basically, I just went through Shohei, saying how pitching and hitting, doing both. Game 4 against the Brewers was the greatest baseball game played ever. He's better than Babe Ruth. There's no doubt about that. I think Shohei Ohtani is the greatest baseball player that has ever stepped foot on the diamond. And frankly, it's not even close, in my opinion.
You're 100% right. I don't know anybody else who could even do the things that Shohei Ohtani is doing. It goes without saying that he's the best player in the world right now. He's probably going to be the best player in the world for the next 5 to 10 years. And even after he retires, we're never going to see another guy do it as efficiently as Shohei Ohtani. There's always going to be the clones. There's always going to be the guys that are like, yeah, let's see what he can do. Let's pitch him and let's hit him. Brandon McKay was a really big guy coming out of college a couple of years ago when the Rays drafted him, He was
Yeah.
supposed to be a pitcher and a hitter, and he never really panned out. So it just kind of shows that it's a different level of special when you look at a guy like Shohei Ohtani. And I think that him being your number one guy is more than fair.
Yeah.
And he probably could have easily been my number one too. But I went a little obscure.
Okay.
And I got two guys actually for my number one because I really couldn't pick.
Okay.
And one guy is going to make sense, the other guy isn't. Because we've seen the style of player that I like for these top three guys. When you talk about Bobby Witt or J Rod, and filling out my final three in the player category like that is Luis Robert.
Okay. Elaborate.
Lubob La Pantera. He is the reason why the White Sox are still considered a little bit relevant. He is the only reason why I tune in to Chicago baseball. Forget the Cubs. I only
Mhm.
tune into Chicago baseball to watch Luis Robert play. There is just something about his swing. There is something about the way that he runs after fly balls. There is just something about Luis Robert that makes me excited for baseball. There is nothing that that man can do to make me hate him. There is nothing that anybody can do to say about him that could make me hate Lou Bob. Maybe if he has a Wander Franco type situation, then I could start disliking Luis Robert. But that is quite frankly the only way that I would stop liking Lou Bob. He could be on the Yankees, and I'd be like, hey, you know what? I really like the way that Luis Robert plays. I really enjoy him. And now let's pivot a little bit here because this is a name that I don't think you've heard in the past 3 seasons. But this is
Okay.
somebody to me that I just for some reason cannot get over. And I think that he's going to have a bounce back for whatever team gives him a chance on the mound. And that is Baltimore Orioles pitching legend John Means.
Okay. That's really.
Dude, I don't know. I don't get it. There is just something. I don't know if it's because he's a lefty. I don't know if it's because he throws 90 poo and he's just so efficient with it. He's a
I
sub
do.
4 ERA guy. He's the perfect Angels pitching signing. I could totally see him pitching in Anaheim again. He was the
Yeah.
number one guy in Baltimore for a little bit. He was their sneaky ace. He was the guy that could come in and get seven and he'd have 85 pitches at the end of it. Like John Means, he's not exciting in the slightest. He's a left-handed Kyle Hendricks, but he's so efficient and he's so like he's just consistent. If he's coming off of a second Tommy John surgery, which is terrible, but if I see John Means come back and I see him post an 11-9 season with a 4.16 ERA, I'm campaigning for a John Means Cy Young. I think John Means is criminally underrated. I love John Means.
Dude, I think the legit maniacs pun for our title are going to appreciate that a ton because he's just one of those guys, and there's a lot of guys I like too. Didn't crack my top five, but I feel the same exact way. It's where you just love what they do. You wish they don't get hurt, but John Means, man, like if a healthy John Means is such a solid big league pitcher. Number one is crazy work, but I appreciate that because it's your list and it's your valid because it's your freaking list. That's awesome, dude.
Like I have a soft spot for him probably because I'm also left-handed and I love watching left-handed pitchers. You know, I could have put Scooble, I could have put Crochet, I could have put I couldn't have put Snell because I could put Snell on my five hated baseball players list. But
Oh, we
either
should.
way,
That'd be fun.
that would be fun. But John Means to me, you're special. John Means, you will be in the Hall of Pretty Good one day.
Oh, dude, I freaking love when they do that. Like just like voting on that kind of stuff. That's the baseball content that I eat up, and I'm sure you do as well.
Dude, they had Michael Kadire on there once, and I was like, I haven't heard that name in so many years.
I'll see like I don't know the name of the Instagram like page, but there's probably a few of them, and they'll just post like a slideshow of like 8 or 10 like obscure baseball players, like Asdrubal Cabrera, Ben Revere, and it's a slideshow, and it's the most like sad song, and then the nostalgia you, dude. That's what baseball is all about. The most obscure 2010s players. We got to do a video about that.
Yeah, Jared Saltalamacchia, Pedro Siriaco, Adam Dunn.
Oh, yeah. Said Ben Revere, John Mayberry. This is a lot of Phillies because obviously I'm a Phillies guy.
Tom
Carlos,
Brown.
James Loney, dude, get
Ooh, Red Sox legend James Loney.
every single day, dude. Who else, dude? I'm trying to
Marco
think.
Scutaro.
Oh, Hunter Penn, kind of, but he was a pretty good player, so he's not that obscure.
What about
Um,
Scooter Jeanette?
that's good. That's good. Heath Bell for relievers that 2 years before he went to my
Ooh,
yeah. Before we get on
I
a tangent,
forgot about Heath.
dude, when he would just run in and he slid, how did he not tear an Achilles doing that? Like with his body frame, I would have been certain that like he like slides and then he looks and he's like, but thankfully it happened. But yeah, we'll probably do like we do. We can do 2-hour episodes on obscure baseball players and what they meant for not only us but the entire baseball community.
Yeah,
But
I'll double down on the Heath Bell one and say Darren O'Day too.
oh gosh, Antonio Bastardo, Phillies
Ooh,
man. I hope he's okay. Hope he's doing well.
he's
Um,
probably fine.
yeah, I'll read a story that he's like not with us anymore. But no. Um, but that's gonna do it for us. You got a root canal tomorrow, right?
I do.
Got
Noontime.
So Ryan might be out a few days, but we'll probably reconvene next week. I plan on doing a Phillies trade solo pod. I heard Matt Strom is going to get traded for the Phillies, and this was one of the best days of my week when I heard that. Matt Strom's a great reliever, but just the personality, we need to get him out of the clubhouse. I'll talk about that in the episode. But yeah, man, we're just gonna keep pumping out content. We'll do a Q&A soon. I definitely want to do one of those again. Kind of
Oh
hear
yeah, that
your
was fun.
yeah, just kind of see what you guys are seeing from this off season. Because after a few more signings, don't you forget January going to be that dead period of time. But before you know it, spring training, pitchers and catchers, about to roll into the 2026 season.
Yeah, and I'm excited. We're actually a lot closer than we think. We're honestly almost in January, which means pitchers and catchers report in like 8 weeks.
Yeah, I'm counting down, man. I need my baseball fix. I need to see spring training. I need to see Clearwater. Give it to me now.
And speaking of that, like Owen said something about the solo pod. Sox fans, whenever I am healed up from this root canal that I am getting, you will be getting a solo pod from me about how frustrating this offseason has been so far for the Boston Red Sox. Trust me.
Dude,
Just let me heal up a little bit and you will get my opinion.
they're going to sign Bregman when you're in surgery. Book it.
They're either going to sign Bregman or they're going to trade for Marte. I'm going to feel my phone vibrate. I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to go crazy. And they're going to drill a hole directly through the rest of my teeth because I'm going to be going insane that we just traded for Ketel Marte.
Do a live reaction, like turning your freaking head, like when you're on the
Hi,
deck.
I'll get a root canal. You got to tell us that.
They'll understand you. They'll understand the passion.
They'll get it. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. That might go viral.
That might be the one. But good luck with that. We'll reconvene. We'll post a lot of TikToks. I'll take the main TikTok posting until Ryan heals up. Until next time, you guys have a good one.
Oh, and I'll catch you when I catch you.
Later, dude.